E3, final day.
Final day?
In the books.
Dawn of the final day.
So, we did some fun stuff today that we wanted to do all week, and we finally got it done today.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Sea of Thieves. We finally played it.
First thing we did, we made sure, because when we were there yesterday, we knew, it's going to take, 3 hours to get in line or whatever like that. So we were like, okay, first thing this morning, Sea of Thieves, we're going to go there.
Yeah.
Still had to wait for an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Luckily, we had good company. We made some friends in line.
Yep.
We made a lot of friends in line, actually. Yeah. A lot of nice people at E3. Just want to throw that in there. Way to go, E3.
Yeah.
But after we waited for an hour and a half in line, we actually got to play. Oh, we spoke with one of the devs for a while, too.
Yep.
Very, very nice guy.
Very cool people. Very cool people.
All the way from the UK. They even won an award while we were in line.
Yeah.
IGN gave them a best of show award, and they all celebrated. It was a really fun moment. You guys probably saw it in the intro that I put together.
It was pretty cool, for us being there to be like, oh, we're about to play this game, and then it's best of show. Like, okay, probably worth the wait.
Yeah, totally.
And then we got to play.
Yeah, we did. Still super early, build, super alpha build of the game. So there was only ship battling, and we battled against 3 other ships. Was it 2 or 3 other ships?
There were at least 3, because there was one point where we were sandwiched between all.
That's right, and we sunk one.
Yeah.
So there were 3 other ships actually made up of actual players. So there were 4 groups altogether, and you had to man the cannons. You had to man the sails. You had to raise and lower the anchors. You had to play an accordion and get drunk.
Yeah, you can get drunk. You can play an accordion.
Yeah.
You can repair the ship if it gets shot by the cannons. You have to kind of go down into the hole and everything to make sure that you're not leaking at the lower levels. It's pretty cool. And the whole thing is the game is obviously very much built around communication and cooperation with your crew. It's all about the crew, which is great because that means if we get the opportunity to play it on the channel, that for the 4 of us. Speaking of which, Ash and Jasmine are finally here. Say hello.
Look at the 4 of us are back together again.
But so that is a really cool mechanic, and so we had a lot of fun. We should just briefly talk about what happened because.
Oh God!
So I think this was a great way to start it off. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and toot my own horn there. So right as we get on the ship, we're starting up, and one of the rare guys is our captain, kind of running us through it. Crickets. And so what happened was you go deal with that, cricket.
So what happened at the beginning?
So, right as we get onto the boat, you have to lift the anchor so that you can actually start moving along, right? And so I'm helping Rick and a couple of the other people move the anchor, and I back up and fall right off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you see when you raise the anchor, the ship starts going.
Just jets.
So we have to immediately
drop the anchor.
Let Price get back on.
I swim back up to the ship. I climb back on. Okay, let's lift the anchor again. And once again, I back right up, fall right off the ship again.
This is the first 2 minutes of us playing.
And so, people in the line are laughing, and, the people here are just like, oh my God. And, I think that, they were all like, oh, this guy. I can't believe it. We got stuck with this guy. So, as soon as I get back on the ship, I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. I'm throwing myself in the brig. I will just, you guys can deal with this. I don't belong on this ship. So, I just actually went down into the hole, and there actually is a brig.
There actually is, yes.
It's not working, but I just sat there for a little bit while they got the ship moving.
But it's okay, because in the end, we ended up really doing well.
We did very well, and I think that honestly, my failures in the beginning gave us a nice lighthearted chuckle to start off with, so that we kind of...
Yeah, it was an icebreaker. It was a good icebreaker.
Yeah.
But this game is a blast, and like I said, it's still alpha, which means that it was really focused to the ship's battles.
Yes.
The battle ships.
Yeah, none of the there wasn't any of the stuff on the islands. We started out on an island to get onto the ship, but after that, it was all just on the ship. And so
but what's interesting is we didn't really get to explore the mechanics of playing music and stuff. But every character on the ship has a different instrument. Yeah. What did you have?
I had an accordion.
I had a violin.
Yep.
And we can all start to play, and we will play in sync, and we'll all play the same song.
Yep.
I imagine that when we play together, that it probably increases our morale or something, so maybe you work a little bit quicker or something like that. There's also grog that you can drink. The only thing that I noticed was that it got me drunk and it blurred my vision.
Made it a lot harder to aim them cannons.
I don't know what good that is. I feel like that would be a good weapon to use against your captors. You're like, drink this grog. Now you can't fight me.
I'm sure there's some mechanics involved there that we're just missing out on. But really, the awesomeness, it really did come in those, ship battles when you're like, okay, we see a ship off in the distance. All right, let's turn, hard left. And, okay, you guys get on the cannons over there and everything. And then once the cannons are coming in, we're like, okay, we're taking heavy fire. It's like, all right, I'm going to go down and repair. You guys continue to fire on the right. Oh, no, we have an enemy coming.
And you know what it really did for me? It was give me respect for like naval battles in general, we will pass a ship and we'll have a chance to get shots off for like 3-4 seconds, and then we have to swing back around, and it'll take 2 minutes to get back into position just to fire off another 3 to 4 seconds worth of shots. It's really long and complicated.
And it sounds like there are a lot of like high level maneuvers and whatnot. Like the guy who was being our captain, he kind of alluded to this idea of like, okay, if you like really speed up towards something and you drop your anchor and turn really fast, you'll kind of do like a really hard turn, and then you can lift that back up and get back around.
Which is why the teamwork is so important, because if there's a ship, and because the longer you give them before your next attack, the longer they have to repair the ship. So you want to be able to attack again immediately. So there are maneuvers. You drop the anchor, you pull up the sail, you drop the sails, you move the sails back and forth in order to catch the wind. But it takes a lot of teamwork and a lot of coordination in order to get it done, but so much fun.
Obviously, you could tell we really enjoyed it. Long story short, that game is amazing. We both agreed that it was probably the highlight of the day, if not one of the highlights of the whole E3. We all have our own differences there, but we really loved it, and we're really looking forward to being able to play it at some point again in the future.
And I'm sure you will see it on the channel. We talked with Cameron, their PR guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start playing the beta as soon as the beta comes out.
Yo ho ho.
So let's go ahead and talk about what we did next, which this is out of order in my notes, but next we played Ghost Recon at the Ubisoft booth.
We went over to the Ubisoft booth, and we got in line, we played Ghost Recon, and again, this was a really cool system. That I like the way that Ubi had their booth set up, where they have someone kind of there with you, on the mic with you, talking to you while you're playing. It's kind of helped run you through the mechanics and everything like that. Really helped to get us to understand the concept of like there's these drones that you throw up. Everybody has a drone. You use them to kind of scan the environment to tag targets and important locations. Again, another game really focused on teamwork. It's all about like, okay, you go post up over here and try and snipe out that guy, and we're all going to fire at the same time. That was the first combat we did. I think it was really smart on their part to have us do this. He's like, okay, we all need to like line up a target, and when I'm say mark, we're all gonna fire. And
right. We throw up our drone, we mark the targets. Just so happened there were 4 of them. So our team leader, who was the Ubisoft guy, said, all right, everybody draw your sniper rifles. We each picked the target, and we had to identify them. We're like, I'll take the guy by the dirt bike. I'll take the guy on his cell phone, And 3, 2, 1, we fire off our shots at the same time. All 4 of them drop to the ground at the same time. We're able to rush in. And
the guy starts to escape, and so then we have to go get a car. We have to chase him down. He goes to this other gas station thing. And just the whole thing was very seamless and very team-focused thing. And it did really stem down to one person kind of being in charge and like helping me, like, okay, let's all get into, the helicopter. Let's all go and...
That damn cricket's back in the wall. What yes, teamwork, absolutely. The gameplay, again, alpha, so there were minor glitches in the game, but definitely not game-breaking by any means. I will go ahead and say that, no surprise, the game didn't look nearly as pretty as it looked in their trailer that they featured, or in the featured gameplay that they had during the Ubisoft presentation. However, the map was gorgeous, and the map was gigantic. It really is open world. We were our hand was held by the Ubisoft guy. He told us exactly where to go and how to get there, but we could have gone one of dozens of different routes in order to actually achieve the objective that we set out to achieve. So super open world, and it doesn't seem like it's linear by any means. There are a lot of different objectives, a lot of different areas within the map with a lot of different bosses, but I'm sure that you can go ahead and choose how you want to play it. You don't need to play this mission and then that mission and then that mission,
It's very much based on the target, the goal, the mission objective, and you figure out how to do it your own way. And that I'm super stoked on that. It reminds me of Hitman, reminds me of Sniper, reminds me of a lot of games that I really enjoy, and the idea of being able to do that in a co-op setting, really cool. And the fact that it's based around 4 characters, great for us. So again, another one I think that we'll probably try and play on the channel as long as, all other situations permit.
Yeah, let us know if you guys are stoked about that. Let us know in the comments what you guys are stoked about as well.
Super cool looking game.
So after that, we went and played... at Raw Data, right? We went and played some VR.
We had an appointment for this one, and it's this VR game. It uses the HTC Vive, and it's sort of a shooter action kind of game, mostly you can think of it like a first-person shooter, but it's hard for me to say that because it doesn't play like a first-person shooter, mostly because of the VR mechanics. It feels
it's like a horde mode game.
Yeah.
You're fighting waves of enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's HTC Vive, and it seems like a lot of these games have one thing in common, and that's that you stand still and you let the enemies come to you. In speaking to one of the lead designers, he was talking about their future plans, and you are going to be able to move around and teleport, and there are going to be different classes. At this time, there was only one class. We had a sword, which basically acted more as a shield, and we had a gun.
Yeah, there were a couple times where the enemies got close to us, so we were able to slash at them and everything, but really what it was more like is kind of like Genji's sword in Overwatch. That's right, we talk about Overwatch a lot. And you know, as bullets are coming in, you can like slice at them and it will go back. And I've got to say, this was one of the most satisfying VR experiences that I've had so far, just simply because of how much it felt like my actions were influencing what I was doing. It was like, if I rotate this gun and I fire, you know, sideways or whatever like that, it's gonna fire sideways. Or more importantly, all of the motions that they built around this were built around trying to make you feel that way. So when you want to pull your gun out, you don't just press a button, your gun comes out. You have to reach to your waist and press a button and pull the gun out, right?
When you pull out your sword, you have to reach behind your back, click it, pull it out, you know?
And then you also have to like activate it because it's like a beam sword. And so there's like these really smart motions that they got to make you really feel awesome. And so like by the end of it, you know, Rick and I, he's in a thing over there, I'm over here, but in the game we're like right next to each other, and we're kind of like doing the whole back to back and shooting and doing all this kind of stuff. And I mean, like by the end, it was so fun. Like here's what I just remember is like once it finished and we're like looking at our high scores and stuff, I remember I was doing like this kind of stuff. I was like, yeah. And Rick's like in front of me, and I'm like doing this, and I'm pushing to get.
We were our little VR avatars are like doing dances. We're like,
because like whatever we're doing, they're doing. And so like I really enjoyed the mechanics that they built around it. They understand kind of what is inherently interesting about the Vive. And like if there's cover, you can straight up, you know, duck down and hide behind the cover actually, and it will have that effect. And so it just felt it's the first time I really felt that close to this kind of like shooter experience.
The game was super fun, but what I took away with it was that I will never get to play this in my apartment because I don't have a single space in my apartment that is big enough to accommodate one of these games, which is unfortunate.
It's the downside of the HTC Vive in general is like, while it may be, you know, probably the most immersive of the VR experiences, it requires so much space and whatnot that it's a little difficult. And I will say one thing that, you know, might be a safety concern because of the cords and whatnot. Several times, because of how you're constantly turning around and doing all this kind of stuff, the cord would get twisted, like kind of up on my leg.
We
or my
easily
shoe.
could have tripped and fell.
Easily could have tripped and fall.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there were people there who were kind of like watching us and stuff like that. But you know, if you're doing this at home, you could fall. Obviously, we were paying attention to it, so you'd be like, okay, kind of kick it around and everything. But it does take you out of it a little bit, and you do kind of worry because you're like, I don't know where I am. I could fall. There's no idea. So that is one concern I have just with the Vive in general.
Last thing on the list is Attack on Titan. You got to play Attack on Titan.
I got to play a little bit of the Attack on Titan game. It was an Xbox build.
Yep.
And really great. Like I watched Attack on Titan. You watched Attack on Titan. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
true to form.
It looks exactly like the anime, and it plays how you would like the mechanics that they chose to put into it are exactly the mechanics that you would think to put into an Attack on Titan game.
Yeah.
It's all about launching yourself through the environment with the hooks. It's all about you have to monitor your gas and your sword gauges, so eventually your swords will break down and then you have to replace them, and you have a limited amount of replacement swords. Your gas will run out, so you have to be very careful not to be frivolously flying around. You know, you have to really monitor that so that you make sure you have enough to be able to actually take out the Titans. And fighting the Titans is exactly what you think. You can attack them in their, you know, different joints and whatnot to try and knock them down and make them easier to kill, but the only way to kill them, attack them on the back of the neck. You got to slice that right, that little butter zone right there.
And they're just as creepy as you would expect them to be.
Like, I mean, and
maybe more so.
Yeah, because when you can go around and see them, and there's like, here's a little one, and there's a big one, and there's a bigger one, and they're just like constantly like running around and doing that whole thing. And I mean,
you're only seeing what they want you to see in the anime. Yeah. You have full 360 view of these guys.
And I would say there was one moment in particular where I was like, I felt like I was in the anime, and it was something I hadn't seen happen to anyone else. So it was a shocker to me because I'd watched a couple people play before I got to play it, and I was going for one of the big Titans, and there was another bigger one kind of around, and so like I shoot my hooks at him, and I'm like launching towards him. The other Titan just immediately turns and boom, and grabs me out of the air, and then like goes to like start biting me, and so then I have to like struggle to get out. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, holy crap, that is straight up the stuff that happens in Attack on Titan. I could have easily had my head just knocked off, and then now I'm food for someone who goes, ah. And so I think that game, if you are a fan of Attack on Titan, and you wanted to play an Attack on Titan game, I think that game is the game for you. I mean, it really did play exactly like how I would want an Attack on Titan.
I thought it looked great. Looked super fun.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. That pretty much wraps up our first E3. I will say that it was a great first E3 for me. I think we learned a lot, and we're hoping that we're going to be more prepared next E3, so we're going to be able to actually bring you guys some more exclusive kind of content and whatnot. I learned a very important lesson, which is bring comfortable shoes next year.
Yeah. Tennis shoes. Don't try and look cool.
No. Just, dude.
Dad shoes.
Yeah.
Dad shoes.
Yeah, like the comfier. Hey, buddy.
What are you guys talking about?
Talking about video games.
E3?
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Oh, you both won.
Yeah. Where were you?